to our travel vlog. I am Mary and I am your lovely tour guide. So before we go around and go back to the history and past, I want you to be prepared. Let's go! Spanish colonial began in 1521 when Ferdinand Magellan came to the island and claimed it as a colony of Spanish Empire. During the Spanish colonization, the educational system was controlled by the priors. The missionaries took charge in teaching, controlling, and maintaining the rules and regulations imposed to the students. These missionaries emphasized the teaching of the Catholic religion. The school was focused on the Christian doctrines. There was a separate school for boys and girls. During the early years of Spanish colonization, the education was mostly religion-oriented and controlled by the Roman Catholic Church. Spanish prior and missionaries educated the natives upon the arrival. Their main goals were to go over the islands to obtain a foothold in the spice trade. It converted indigenous population. The oldest universities, colleges, professional schools in the first modern public and professional system in Asia were created during the colonial period.
During the early years of Spanish colonization, the education was mostly religion-oriented and controlled by the Roman Catholic Church. Spanish friars and missionaries educated the natives upon their arrival. Their main goals were to go over the islands, obtain a foothold. In the spice stream, it converted indigenous population to the photonic field. The oldest universities, colleges, professional schools in the first modern public and during the colonial period. The education degree of ATS can be provided for two parts. First, establishment of at least 2-3 primary schools, one for boys and another for girls in each town. Under the control of bonuses, and the second, the patient of love, was called to train. Men as teachers, supervised by the Jesuits, the teaching of Spanish was compulsory. And to better understand the education during Spanish, let's watch and share the commentary.
Oriental spices were easily sold at European markets at big profits. King Charles decided to send an expedition to the Moluccas. His purpose was primarily commercial. Then here is Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese that went to Spain to offer his services to the king. He said to the king that he could reach the Moluccas, then known as the Spice Island. September 20, 1519, when the expedition left the port and sailed southward across the Atlantic. Magellan continued his voyage, and on March 16, 1521, he sighted the mountain of what is now Summer. March 31st, when they held the first Mass, celebrated by Father Pedro de Valderrama, they planted a large cross on top of a hill overlooking the sea, then took the position of the islands in the name of King Charles and called it the Archipelago of St. Lazarus. March 15, when they held a mass in Cebu, where their chieftain Rahu and his wife Juana have been baptized, they were the first Catholics. Over the next several decades, other Spanish expeditions were set off to the islands. Spanish missionaries played a major role as to how Filipinos were educated and controlled. Religion was the tool that Spain wielded to make the Philippines its colony. The first Christian school was built and established in Cebu year 1565 by the Augustinians. The schools were separated for boys and girls, and only the wealthy Filipinos were accommodated. According to King Philip II, Law of the Indies, the India's Spanish authorities were mandated to educate the natives to learn how to read and write and to learn Spanish. Jesuits established the Colegio de San Ignacio and is now the Universidad de San Ignacio, the first college school for boys in Manila in 1518. It was 1589 when the government entrusted the Escuela Pia, now the Ateneo de Manila University, to the Jesuits, established Colegio de San Ildefonso, established in Cebu, year 1595, and is now the University of San Carlos. Colegio de San Jose was established in the early 1600s by the friars in 1610. The first Philippine author, Thomas Pinpin, published a book in Baybayin entitled Librong Pag-aaralan ng Mga Tagalog ng Wikang Kastila. The Dominicans also claimed their reputation as they established in 1611 the University of Santo Tomas around 1630, when San Juan de Letran was built for orphan boys. They took some time to establish college school for girls. Colegio that was built in 1589 was the first, followed by the Colegio de Santa Isabel in 1632 that instituted Viaterio or Nanuri. The sole purpose of the school is to provide education for the orphaned girls. The lessons are also about household chores such as cooking, embroidery making, sewing, and other that are necessary for good housekeeping. Public school was built in 1863 with the passage of Education Reform Act due to the compulsory education. Separate school for boys and girls were established in every pueblo. Friars owned different schools in the country ranging from the primary to the tertiary level. Ever since the Spanish colonial government adopted the program of compulsory education in 1863.
The education became free to all children between the ages of 7 to 13 years old. Although they have implemented that system of education, there was still an inequality in attaining its curriculum. Then, there was a lot more structured compared the Spaniards came. The curriculum consists of Christian doctrine, values, reading and writing in Spanish etiquette, and Spanish history. Because the aim of education is to promote a Christian Spanish language and an imposition of Spanish culture. People were also taught the education, and this manifested in social inequality and female subordination. The higher priority on education was placed on men and says that women should just stay only at home.
The educational during the Spanish period. The principle in Spain in the Philippines during the reign was to make the native Filipinos a vegan and God-fearing Christian. Educational degree in 1863 gave Filipinos a complete system of education, from elementary to college level. Establish of the elementary school in all municipalities in the country religion, core of curriculum, the subject reading, writing, arithmetic history, Christian the Prince, Spanish language, local music, and agriculture. For the boys, needed work. For the girls, attendance in school was comfortable between the age of 7 to 12 years old. Of government during the Spanish period, structures they established a centralized colonial government in the Philippines that was composed a national government and the local government that administered the province down and ahead.